Have you ever wondered why there is a massive landmass that encircles the entire One Piece world called the Redline? Of course, you could say it's just something that Oda came up with randomly, but I think there is more to it. Back during the Little Garden, we met the two giants Dorry and Brogy who fought each other for a century. Oda might really be into Vikings and Norse mythology. When the Straw Hats left Little Garden, they were attacked by a giant goldfish the giants referred to as Island Devourer. Dorry and Brogy used a combined attack called Hakoku, which can roughly be translated into Supreme Kingdom. What's interesting here is what they said right before that attack. The only thing we can't pierce is a snake soaked in blood. Behold the legendary spear of the giants of Elbaf. A giant snake soaked in blood? A red snake? Is there a red snake in the One Piece world? If you use a bit of imagination, you could interpret the Redline as an enormous snake encircling the entire world, dividing it in half. As I mentioned earlier, Oda might have used a piece of Norse mythology in this element of his world. In Norse mythology, there is an unfathomably large sea serpent that encircles the earth, biting its own tail, also known as world serpent or Midgard serpent. A snake devouring its own tail is an example of an Ouroboros. In Norse mythology, Odin tossed world serpent into the great ocean that encircles Midgard. The serpent grew so large that it was able to surround the earth and grasp its own tail. As a result, it received the name of world serpent. Doesn't this serpent sound like the Redline? Reverse Mountain also has some old ruins, pictures of a serpent dragon in chapter 101. Maybe this is Oda hinting on the nature of the Redline. We also have a biblical theme in One Piece. So far we have Adam Tree, Eve Sunlight Tree, and Devil Fruits. But where's the snake in this story? Yes, there are Kuja, snake neck people, Kaishigami, but these are not mysterious entities that seem to play a bigger role in the history of One Piece. If the serpent is the Redline, that definitely would be a major part of the story. And where is its head located? Rivers Mountain. It is mentioned in Norse mythology that when the world serpent releases its tail, the final battle of the world, Ragnarok, will begin, which could be a hint on how the final war in One Piece will start. In Jewish mythology, there is also a giant serpent called Leviathan that was killed by God at the end of the world, which could hint at Luffy destroying the Redline. Now there are other theories for this, like from the Library of Ohara, we have seen a globe of the One Piece world. It is a planet surrounded by at least 7 or 8 moons. But throughout the entire story, we have only seen one moon. Enel also goes to see only one moon, which he calls Fairy Varth. So where are the other moons? Why have they disappeared? There is another mythical snake legend that may shed light on this question. In the Philippines, there is a legend of a giant serpent, or we can say a dragon that ate moons whose name was the Bakunawa. According to the story, the world originally had 7 moons. The Bakunawa lived in the sea, and one day, seeing how beautiful the moons were, ate 6 of them. It tried eating the 7th, but the people, terrified of losing their last moon, played music to lull the snake to sleep and thus save their moon. But every once in a while, the Bakunawa would try to eat the moon again, and the people would have to distract it again. This is what caused lunar eclipses. So yes, I am suggesting that the Redline is, or once was, a Bakunawa and ate the missing moons. Now Shandians, or their ancestors the Shandorians, used to be moon people. Shandians at least 400 years ago revered snakes like the giant Kashigami as gods. They also had a large golden bell. Perhaps ringing the bell in the past would protect their homeland, the moon, from the Bakunawa. Nola, the grandchild of Kashigami, now living in Skypiea, turned less aggressive and became happy after hearing the golden bell ring for the first time in 400 years. But just as how they forgot the reason for protecting the poneglyph, the Shandians have forgotten why they revere snakes in the first place, or why they own such a large bell. In addition, Oda has hinted that the missing moons are important in the story. In chapter 666, Monad is studying books on astronomy and a book with clip in the title, probably a book on eclipses. The Bakunawa is thought to cause eclipses and cause the moon to disappear for a short while. Okay, so the Redline may be a Bakunawa serpent. How did it become the Redline? Is it dead, or it's lying dormant? I don't really know yet, but I think its existence played a huge role in the war during the Void Century. The will of D involves removing or waking up the Redline. Maybe during the Void Century, people discovered the truth of their world, that a giant serpent is wrapped around their planet. Maybe the serpent even wakes up somehow. Who knows? Anyway, the appearance or the knowledge of this serpent terrified everyone. Some people, members of the D clan, support removing or freeing the serpent. Removing the Redline would create the all blue, connect the 4 seas, let everyone sail freely. Others, like the 20 kingdoms which later make the world government, want the Redline to stay put, thus a war ensues. The world government is terrible in many ways, but it is not totally evil. They may have good intentions, they just don't think it's wise to release a serpent that is capable of eating moons into the world without the proper means to subdue it. it. For example, Sengoku seems like a nice guy and seems to know what the One Piece is, but he supports the government's stance in suppressing its information. Another hint that these are related to something monstrous. The celestial dragons call the D's God's enemy, and they tell their children that if you behave badly, you get eaten by D. Monkey D. Dragon, who at least 2 years ago was the most wanted man in One Piece, has a red diamond back-shaped tattoo on his face, hinting that he knows something about the Red Serpent. Possessing this knowledge really would make him one of the biggest criminals of the government. Now, some of you may think maybe not the D's, but the celestial dragons are the ones somewhat related to the Red Serpent. The Bakenwa can fly in space and air, so it sounds like a celestial dragon, and the world nobles are descendants of people who created the world. But I have a different idea. I think the 20 Kingdom ancestors were enemies of the Red Serpent. They defeated it, made it into the Redline, and claimed themselves as the new gods or creators of the world. It's just a random thought, but maybe Oda pulls some Attack on Titan shit on us and the destruction of the Redline releases an actual massive world serpent. Who knows what Oda is cooking? Maybe that is what the world government and Emu are scared of. Well, what do you think about this theory? Be sure to tell me in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. See you with another amazing video. Until then, goodbye.